What's going on, guys and gals? Welcome to another episode of the Workprint's Gamecast, brought to you by theworkprint.com. I'm your host, although a bit stuffy, Rob, and I'm joined by my co-host, Bilal. What's up, Bilal?
I might die this podcast.
All right, let's go ahead and get right into this episode 67. Make sure you mark that, the one where Bilal died. So
Yes.
you guys are getting the remnants of Hurricane Ida, right? That's what's going on right now?
Yeah, and like I I knew it was gonna rain, and then they said the Passaic River is gonna flood, and the Passaic River is my parking lot. Like it's right next to my parking lot.
Yeah.
And so right before this started, I was eating lasagna that my sister-in-law made for me and my wife, and I was scrolling through Facebook for my apartment complex group, and someone had posted, they're like, hey, the road in front of our apartment is massively flooded. There's water in the stairwell. And like our apartments are elevated, so like we don't normally get that water. Looking out the window, it's pretty high. And I'm a little bit nervous, and so I told my wife, like, we'll watch it. If water starts coming in through the vents for the AC unit, we will take all the electronics and we'll put it on the island. So yeah, it's a bit scary. Really curious to see how this all goes, and wondering why all the drainage sucks.
Yeah, so we've had a flash flood warning that went into effect, I think, last night up until tomorrow morning is how long it's supposed to be in effect for. But for the most part, we've just gotten like rain, and it's been on and off, going from like a drizzle to something really serious. But haven't gotten any high winds or anything like that, so it hasn't been too bad. Now, this episode's a little bit weird. First off, we took a week off, and we'll get right to that, because honestly, we buried the lead. If you consider Bilal possibly dying, if we have something more important than that, and I think we do. So we kind of buried the lead, but another reason it's weird is we're actually streaming over on YouTube tonight, and it is because one, we had to delay the podcast a day from Tuesday to Wednesday, and it just so happened to fall on the a day off Twitch movement walkout. And for those who don't know what that is, Twitch has been suffering recently from these hate raids where people are going into streamers of colors, Twitch streams, with bots and just filling the chat with just the most heinous of messages. They've also been doing it when streamers are offline and then reporting the channels for the content in the chats, because according to Twitch's guidelines, you're responsible for your chat as well. It's why you see some of the big streamers have such strict rules in place and also have dedicated moderation teams, right? One of the benefits of us being a small fish in a big pond is we haven't suffered from that. But in solidarity with, other streamers of color, because I mean the two of us are minorities,
Yeah.
we decided that we would also take the day off of Twitch. But we still wanted to bring an episode, considering that we did miss a week. So here we are over on YouTube, and it seems like that's the trend. Have you seen the news about
Yeah.
it?
I would
Kind
like
of
that
insane.
YouTube money, Mr. YouTube.
Right. Yeah. So in just 2 days, I mean, yesterday, Dr. Lupo announced that he was going, or yesterday or the day before,
Yeah.
this week, Dr. Lupo announced that he was going over to YouTube Gaming exclusively stream. And then earlier today, I saw Tim the Tatman is also signed a contract to stream exclusively over at YouTube Gaming.
Listen, Microsoft paved the way to make this all happen. These big
Yes.
streaming exclusive deals, and maybe they didn't
Yep.
land it with Mixer. And I really miss Mixer because those
Yeah.
4K streams were nice.
Yeah, the tech behind Mixer was fantastic.
Yeah. Who ended
It's
up?
just kind of hard to break into the streaming game when all you're providing is a streaming platform. YouTube
Exactly.
had a leg up because it's, even Twitch
Oh.
streamers were already then posting their content on YouTube to kind of double dip in revenue and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like, yeah, why wouldn't you? Like, your audience is already probably following you on
Exactly.
Twitch, on YouTube, so it's a no-brainer at that point. I think Ninja lost a lot of followers jumping over to Mixer, but he got his payday. So I don't, and I think when he came back to Twitch, everyone returned for the most part. So no sweat off his
Yeah,
back.
he still puts up pretty good numbers,
Yeah.
and not for nothing, but he's at a point now where he's got other things going on. I mean, he's
Yeah.
releasing apparel with Adidas every other month and appearing in movies. And so the one thing though is him coming back now that he's secured the bag is he streams whatever he wants. He no
Yeah.
longer feels beholden to just stream the whatever game is popular at the moment, whatever game he is associated with, which is cool, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we do, except he's made millions and millions of dollars, and I think we pay Twitch
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
part of the affiliate program. And so, but listen, all that aside, the big news, one of the reasons that we were delayed and why this podcast took so long, I'm proud to announce I went to Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure this past week with my family on vacation.
Did you go to Harry Potter World?
I did go to Harry Potter
Did
World.
you get
It was
your own
awesome.
wand?
I did not get my own wand. Here's the problem. I wanted to get my own wand.
Yeah.
But then I got to get 2 more wands.
Yeah.
And I'm not made of wand money. All right.
Those wands are like,
I
I
will
think they're like
say-
$80 or something like that.
Yeah.
But they have
I
like all
will
those like RFID wand moment things, and there's a long line for them, but like you still want to do it.
Here's what I want to say. I saw some other kids doing it and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it looked cool. I was kind of jealous and kept thinking about going and getting a wand. There was no lines. A mix of kids going back to school and
Yeah, it
obviously
is-
people afraid of COVID.
Yeah, end of
And
August.
dealing with that. And so I went to Islands of Adventure the first day, we rode every single ride there. Then went to Universal Studios the next day, got there earlier, rode every single ride and rode a bunch of them twice. We rode Escape from Gringotts, the Harry Potter ride in Universal Studios
yeah.
twice. We rode the Jimmy Fallon ride, which is way better than a Jimmy Fallon ride has any right to be.
Yeah, it's
We
really
rode
weird.
the
I was
Mummy
like,
twice.
why does Jimmy Fallon have a ride? It's not bad.
Yep.
I really like the
Yep.
Shrek one.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Shrek one too.
Yeah.
We only rode that one once. We rode the Minions twice. We rode the Mummy twice. It's weird that the Mummy is still as good as it is, considering it's one of the oldest rides they have there in the park now. And yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic time. Also, as great as that is not the biggest news to come out.
You also went to Disney?
It says. Well, I wanted to let the people know the moment we've all been waiting for has finally occurred.
My wife had a baby!
Yay! What day was it exactly? If you
It was last
Maybe you don't want to-
Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, it was baby was born. We managed to raise a child for 1 week, and
Oh, nice. Still alive?
Yeah, still alive, still kicking.
Okay,
I
cool.
think he's even better with every passing day. So I think we're doing a stand-up job. People say parenting is a different kind of tired, like get ready to say goodbye to sleep. And I always responded with, I can stay up late and I'm fine, like on 3-4 hours of sleep. What I didn't realize was having a child that wakes up in the middle of the night is sleep torture. These are CIA trained torture experts, and what they do is, as soon as you start dreaming, they will start crying, and you have to get up and take care of them. And you put them down, and like they should sleep for 3 hours and then cry. But sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 45 minutes, sometimes it's 2, and you don't know every time. And so, between every wake, it's another hour to 90 minutes to get them back down. And so before you know it, it's already like 10 a.m. and you don't want to murder the child. You just want sleep. You want any help. you just want to put the baby down and just be like, I love you, but please. Yeah. You promise him things.
It's only been a week, so I mean, it's still fresh. But how many times have you looked at him and just said, "What do you want? What do you need from me?"
So okay, I'm not gonna say he's easy, but he has been very good in terms of what his wants and needs are. He goes down for a nap. He wakes up with a dirty diaper. You change the diaper. He starts to and then crying for his bottle. He will cry until he gets that bottle. He will cry when he's down on the changing table as well. But he doesn't cry for no reason. Like once you get that bottle in his mouth, he is he is like Oh yes, he's like in heaven bliss. Then he'll poop his diaper again. So you just change the diaper like 15 minutes before. Then you gotta change it again like 20 minutes later, and then you think, okay, maybe he's down. No, because he pooped, he now needs another bottle, and so you give him that second bottle, and now he's ready to be put down for bed. Uh, there were some nights where he had a bit of trouble, but I think what me and my boss gave some advice. He's like, if you both try to tackle everything together, you're not gonna make it. Like
Yeah, that's good
he's like
advice.
you gotta take shifts. And so like the first night, I think what's today, Wednesday. I think Monday night I went to my wife and I was like, hey, look, I'll take this first shift. I'll stay with him up till 5. I'll sit here and watch Netflix and play Xbox, like whatever it takes. You just
Yeah.
get sleep. And then my wife woke up at 2 and she was just like, I don't want to be alone. I was like, this is not what we discussed. And then like
Yeah.
it was a rough night. But then last night around 10 p.m. I was like, I'm tired. I'm actually gonna go lay down. And then my wife woke me up at 3 a.m. She's like, hey, I'm tired. I want to lay down. I was like, okay, just bring him in, put him down, and I'll take it from here. And so then like at 3:40 he cried. I got up and took care of him. And he was easy. Like I'm gonna jinx it. He was very good. He was very good in terms of his cycle. And I put him down right after his feed. He went to sleep for 3 hours, and I was like, it was like 5 a.m. when I put him down, and I was like, I could go to sleep, or I got 5 hours of sleep. This is just already. So this is like I'm wired like because I've had such terrible sleep.
Yeah.
Um, so I decided to stay up, and I was like, I'm gonna finish Dodgeball Academy, and that's what I did. It's nice. There's something peaceful about gaming in the morning hours while everyone else is sleeping. There's no expectations of what to expect from you, and so I think that I might be a morning person now. I think that's how this works.
I don't know if that's how that works, but good luck with
but
that.
yeah, but I've been up since like 3:40 a.m. And yeah, now we're here doing this podcast. It's been a roller coaster. I absolutely love it. It is tiring. It is a lot at times. We are blessed to have our parents so close by to help out,
Yeah, it's
and
huge.
yeah, it is huge. To any couple out there that's just done it with just the two of you, or even just the one of you in some cases, you superheroes, goddamn superheroes. And like shout outs to my wife. I think she had like a 24-hour labor, and things got scary at times, and man, she pulled through and delivered one hell of a cute baby.
He is very handsome. I
Yes.
was fortunate enough to get sent a picture while I
Yeah.
was on vacation.
Yeah, I was going through the list. I was like, who is close to me that I can send a picture to? I was like Rob. I should send it to Rob.
No, I went and I showed it to my wife right
Yeah.
away, and no, we're
And
very
then
happy
she's
and
like,
excited
and
for
then your
you.
wife's like, and so that's the end of the podcast, and you're like, no.
I was like, no, we have a new co-host.
Yes.
All right, well, you mentioned that you've been playing Dodgeball Academia. Let's just go ahead and get into what we've been playing. I will pick it up from there because, like I
Hmm.
said, I was on vacation for essentially a week, and I got back on this past Sunday, and Monday was actually my birthday.
Ooh, oh
And
yeah.
so,
Happy
yeah.
birthday.
And so, thank you. And so I spent the day with my wife, and then some of my friends came over later in the evening. Actually, I wasn't expecting anybody to come over, but they kind of surprised me. And my brother and my nephews came up that day as well. So I've been busy with that. Haven't had a lot of time to sit down and play. But what I did get to play is I did get to play a little bit of Marvel Revolution on my phone while I was in
This is that new
Florida on
one
vacation.
that they've been advertising everywhere, right?
Yes, everywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Because
everywhere.
I saw an ad for it and I was like, ooh, this looks pretty. This is mobile.
Yeah, so it's I see a lot of people calling it basically uh Marvel Heroes, all right? It's the reincarnation of it. It is a Diablo-esque Marvel game through and through. there are these like interstitials in the levels where it becomes a little bit more cinematic, and then you have like these quick time events to kind of interact with it. But for the most part, you are brawling, multiple enemies, activating abilities on cooldowns. And so it is very much in the same vein of that game. I have only dabbled in it and I've played maybe like 2 hours of it. I will say that the opening onboarding and kind of tutorialization of the game is very long. And part of it is that it is very cinematic. So I sat down to play and I was like, oh, I'll just play 10 minutes real quick. And then an hour went by because I just didn't have a natural stopping point. But I am enjoying it so far. It lets you do a thing where the gear is different costume pieces that you get. And you can
Oh,
equip mismatched costumes.
that
And
is
actually,
cool.
I think one of the ads I even saw was tongue in cheek saying that, we're relying on you to pick the best costumes, and they're showing these monstrosities of mismatched costumes and stuff like that. You also, I will say, you do also have the option to lock in the appearance of certain pieces. So if you have a full set, even if you want to use the different
This is like a glamour.
yeah, exactly. And so you can have a unified look, even if you are using mismatched pieces and stuff like that. So far it's pretty cool. I like the selection of heroes that you can pick from right away. You have your big hitters like Iron Man and Spider Man. Then you also have Captain America. But then we get Doctor Strange. We get Captain Marvel. You have Star Lord and Storm. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple other ones that are in the game so far, but it's a nice varied selection of characters so far. And
How's
so
it?
I'm
How's it feel on a phone?
I that is the one thing is I wish it had supported controller.
Okay.
I understand that it gives you a pretty good amount of abilities on the screen at once, and maybe mapping to a controller would be difficult in that sense. Kind of like how MMOs aren't really suited for controller just because there are so many abilities and cooldowns that you're managing. But I would have enjoyed this game a lot more. I just listen. I told you my birthday just passed.
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s. Like maybe I'm just too old, right, to move around on mobile because it just does not feel natural to me at all.
Yeah. No, it's
But
like when I see that like PUBG Mobile or Call of Duty Mobile has so many players and they play
yeah,
touch, and I'm just like, how?
yeah. At least Call of Duty Mobile lets you use controller.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you feel like you're cheating when you use a controller.
I know Genshin Impact just got controller support, and I was like, ooh, that might be a good.
Oh,
Yeah, I think they got that in the 2.0 update. That might be something to just like put on the back burner and play through.
hmm, that is tempting.
Yeah.
I might have to pick that up then. Is there cross progression between that and the PS
Yes, they. I think
or
they
PS5?
also added that to the PlayStation because before it was mobile and PC only. And
Yeah.
don't quote me on
Uh,
it, but I'm pretty sure that I think
yeah.
that's what the 2.0 update brought.
I mean, I've been looking and thinking about dabbling in it, so I might have to get involved in some Genshin Impact
You'll
soon.
play it
But
and you'll be like, this is Breath of the Wild, but
so I
well
started,
done.
yeah, so I started playing it and I actually enjoyed the little bit I played, but it
Yeah.
did not run well on the PS4 when
Yeah.
I was playing it. And so it was kind of around the launch on the PS4 for it. When it launched on the PS4, I should say, is when I started playing it, and it just didn't run well at all, and so that's what kind of turned me off. But I was digging the art style, I was digging the gameplay, so I have it downloaded now on the PS5. I haven't booted it up yet, but if that runs well, and I've heard that the phone version runs fantastic, so if I
Yeah,
can get
it's
control support on
scary.
there and cross progression,
It's scary how well it works on mobile.
yeah.
Um, I was like, wow, my Switch doesn't even look this good in with some of these games.
So the other game I've been playing is an oldie that I picked back up. I have been playing Hades the past couple days. Now, I think we talked about this before where you said that the moment you put it on, stop playing in handheld,
Hmm.
and actually play it on the TV, you seem to.
I beat it on my first try, but
Right.
that's
Okay.
I mean that's just a bias. I was just like I did have like 20 something runs at that point.
Sure.
Yeah.
I had 17 runs before I started playing yesterday, and I hooked it up to the projector I got. We've recorded since I got the projector, right? I mentioned that I grabbed
Yeah,
it, or is okay.
I think you got it up,
Yeah.
but then I think you mentioned that the screws weren't in
Oh
the right
yes,
spot.
I
Yeah.
got a new mount. I redid the screen actually, and so everything is nice and set up now. So last night, me and my brother are up late. Kids are already in bed, and we're just hanging out. And I was like, "Hey, like, do you mind? You want to watch me play this?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's said that he's watched a whole bunch of like speed runs of it, and he's seen a ton of the game, but he hasn't really played much of it. But he did download it because now it's on Game Pass. So I have the Switch hooked up to the projector. I was playing on there last night. Run 18. I get to Hades. I'm doing great. I beat Hades. I didn't know he had a second form. I put the controller down. All of a sudden, he gets back up. I gotta pick the controller back up, and I lose there. All right. Uh, Next run, I, the boons that I ended up getting, I got a lot of the Athena ones, so I have deflect. I also got Poseidon's Call, and basically built around doing excess damage from my cast ability,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Or I should say damage reduction from the cast. So I had damage reduction from the cast because I had like Aphrodite's cast, and then I had increased damage from my special
What
and
weapon?
increased range on my normal attack. I was using the the lance. What? No, it's a spear. I was using the spear.
Yo, you want to know the crazy thing? Um,
Hmm.
Everything you're saying to me, my wife's brother-in-law just texted me this morning because he just got his first clear, and like the boons, the weapon, everything seems to be the same as like
Yeah,
you're saying
yeah.
right now. He's like he had a cast that did like 300 damage and like a spear charge that would just wreck Hades.
Yeah, and so the build I had is my spear had ricochet on it. So anytime he was throwing out some of the stuff that he throws out and the, different phases he summons people to help him out and stuff like that. It made clearing that really easy, so I didn't have to worry about those annoying shockwaves, and then I could just focus on him as well. And what the cast did is it did like 250 damage, but also reduced his damage by 30%. Actually, by 40% by the time I got to him. And so that helped a ton. I also went in focusing on once I had some boons I liked, I went in anytime I could increase my max health, I went for that. And so finally beat it, run 19, and now I'm in. Like now I want to try the run with other weapons. I want to beat the game, run. I want to escape 10 times, get the actual ending.
Yeah.
And it's funny, man, like maybe it is just bias, but having the pro controller in my hand and having it on the screen, even a 105-inch screen, like was significantly better than
Yeah.
playing on the handheld. It
So
just made more sense to me.
yeah, there was especially with the Hades fight. I think that's where it made the biggest difference because it was because I got to Hades in a number of runs. I think I did get there in like the low or the high tens, but I would just keep on losing to him. But
Yeah.
it's once I put it in when to the doctor and I got to him, I was like, oh, when he turns invisible, you see his footsteps in the snow.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never noticed that on
I think
handheld.
100% that's what it is. It's just the
Yeah.
visibility is so much
Yeah.
better.
Like the
And
countdown
so
and the little bombs and stuff. Yeah.
it also really makes me wish that it had cross progression because I would love to play this on the Xbox Series X
Yeah.
and
And
play it over there.
so I actually, my sister in law and her husband stayed at our apartment while we were in the hospital last week and they watched the cats. And so I gifted him Hades on his Switch. And so, because he was looking to the game, he beat Enter the Gungeon, and he's like, "Oh, He has like a spreadsheet of like what he's interested in, what he's bought and completed. He's the type of person like in Celeste. He has done every level, gotten every strawberry, cleared A, B, and C sides. He's 100% in Celeste. He likes to spend his time with the game. So I was like, dude, you need to play Hades. He's like, eh. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it for him. And he was hooked on it. And it's just like, and like you, he just beat it. Story oddly familiar. Like it's so scary how familiar this story is. He said the same thing. He's like, I can't wait to start the next runs for this and increase the heat, try out the different weapons, and see where the story goes. I meant to get back around to it for the second and onward clears, but other games just came up. But it's always something to like. I fired it up on Xbox and I just did a quick run, and I agree with you. I was a bit sad that there's no cross progression there, but at least the Switch and PC has it. And that was nice, at least consolation there. I kind of was fired up on PC.
I think what it might end up doing is I might end up playing it on the Xbox One and just putting God mode on from the start.
Yeah.
Because that I was reading into that, and that seems like such a great and smart implementation. Because the challenge is still there. It just makes you a little bit more resilient every time you die.
Yeah.
And so you
So
still have to learn the patterns. You still have to put out damage. Like, I think I might just do that. Especially, like I said, I beat it once, made it through. I know I can escape. Now let me just enjoy myself.
And that's what I told my boss, because like my boss got the Hades, and he like, I remember I beat it. I texted him, oh, I beat it. He's like, then he finally got the Hades. He could be his first form, and he texts me going, he's like, why didn't you tell me there was a second form? And I was like, and not get this text message from you.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, he struggled with it. And I was like, just put it on God mode, man. Like what are you doing at the end of the day besides banging your head against the wall?
Right.
Like you'll still get the satisfaction of the win. It's still a challenge. The game scales down to where it is beatable for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you haven't had a chance to play it, it's on Game Pass. Pick it up. Even at full price, still worth it on other consoles.
I agree 100%.
I know you mentioned the accessibility, and I was talking about Dodgeball Academia earlier. I don't have much more to say on that besides, still a fantastic game. But one of the things I did discover was the accessibility settings in that game are actually really fantastic. So you can go in and you can actually set how much damage you take and how much damage you can give on like a percentage scale. So you can like ramp up the damage taken all the way down to 0%, so you're invincible, and you can wrap up the damage given or decrease how much you give, put yourself at a handicap. And I thought that was like a really cool feature, and it doesn't affect like the game or the story in any specific way. And it's just like, hey, I don't want to bang my head against this challenge or this particular fight. I just want to continue on with this, and you can do that.
I mean, I'm totally at the point in my life where I love that games do that.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a game that you're enjoying, but you just don't feel like you have the time to put in the effort to bang your head over and over and over again on the same thing. Like, I have no qualms. I've been playing for as long as I have. I've played plenty of difficult games. I have no qualms with dropping something down to easy just because I want to get through the story and experience what the game has.
That's going to be me with Xenoblade one of these days.
And so being able to adjust it more granular is fantastic addition, and I love that whenever it's in a game. So that wraps up what I've been playing. Besides Dodgeball Academia, what else have you been playing?
All right, so I want to give a shout out to Microsoft here, because we talk about Game Pass, cross save, cross platform, and everything. My God, I leveraged every single one of those platforms and opportunities over the last 2 weeks. And it varied in different cases. Like, I had mentioned I was playing Psychonauts on Game Pass on PC because I wanted a graphical update. I realized I also had it on Steam. The problem I was running into with the original Psychonauts was if you try to remote into your PC for a Game Pass game, it nearly always breaks. Something doesn't work correctly, and so it's a pain. So I managed to grab my Psychonauts save from Game Pass and just transfer it over to Steam, and then I would just use the Steam Link app and just go in that way. And that one was kind of annoying because Psychonauts is, yes, it's an older game, and so
Yeah.
I couldn't just grab like the Xbox cloud version of it and just have my save there. So that was like one of the limitations there. But when it came to like 12 minutes or Psychonauts 2 or Dodgeball Academia, I could jump between my Xbox, my PC, my phone, and I was playing it everywhere I had a chance and like making progress. And it was flawless. It works so great, and I never realized how much I loved like just took for granted like how in what an amazing spot we're at. And so
Yep.
I finished that first Psychonauts, and like you said, I had a great time with it. I think the characters, the world are great. I did get a bit frustrating towards the end with some of the platforming, where I
Yep.
definitely wanted to finish some of the just finish that game, get ready for two, and then it was just like this platforming section or this boss that had like it wasn't registering a certain hit or it didn't give me enough time, and it was like it's from its time.
Yeah.
That game
Right.
is it's from a specific era, and so like I'm not gonna hold it against it like and measure it by today's standards, but like I can see why some folks might not want to go back to it. But like I finished it, had a great time, and then it was like primed for Psychonauts 2. Right after that, 12 Minutes came out, which is like it's an adventure game, I think is the best way to describe it, where you play a man who comes home to his apartment and discovers he's stuck in a time loop where this cop arrives and pretty much like knocks him out every 10 minutes, and you have to do a whole bunch of different variations of trying to figure out how to get out of that time loop, what the story is there. That game starts out great and then gets to the twist and then completely falls apart in my eyes.
I was very excited. I was so excited for this game. I was gonna play it. I was like, oh, it comes out because that came out on the 24th. Is that correct? Or
No,
no,
I think it was a
Psychonauts came out
week
24th.
before.
Oh, right, right, right.
Yeah.
So it came out. I was super excited. I was about to go boot it up, and then I saw your tweet, and then I saw somebody else's tweet, and another tweet, and another, and another. So then I was like, I'm I'm not based on what everybody's saying, and they're not spoiling anything, but based on what they're saying, this does not seem like the type of game for me. And then I listened to a spoiler cast of it. Oh boy, I'm glad I didn't play this game. I mean,
It,
regardless of the fact that I think I would have gotten frustrated, because I just don't. I've talked about this before. I don't love the trial and error of point and click
mhm.
adventure games, and there is some of this. Now, granted, I know there's also a novelty in the fact that you learn because you learn something new, you go back and you realize that you can. Anyway, the actions that you can take in this game at certain parts
Mhm.
are not for me. Are not for me. I don't want to play a game where I'm doing that stuff. And the twists and the
The,
endings that you can get, and I don't want to spoil anything. That's not for me.
the
It's just not.
the
It's just
twi-
not for me.
the
It's
twist,
not for me.
not gonna spoil anything, but the twist
Yeah.
is based on your main character not remembering a specific fact, and
Right.
it is 100% bullshit. Like 100%. And like if you don't nail that, you don't nail the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because
Not
you
for me.
spend you bang your head against these puzzles. You try to figure out what variations, what you can do, and like I was playing it. I started it, and then my sister-in-law and her husband were there, and like we were playing it together, and like trying to figure out what we could do. And then
Yeah.
then they left, and then like I would fill them in, like text them later that like, hey, like this is what I got to, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and then like I finished it, and then I was like, I told them the twist, and they were like, well, that was stupid, and I was like, yes, yes, it
Yeah.
was. I got every
Okay.
achievement in it. I enjoy that first half, but as soon as you get to like the story reveal point, it's just like, no,
How long
no.
did it take you to finish the game, would you say?
4 to 5 hours, and I think maybe like another hour
Mm.
or two for cleanup.
Did you use a guide at all,
Yeah,
or you just
so at certain points I was just like, I would do everything I could possibly think of, and then if I
Yeah,
got stuck at a certain point, Polygon had
I
a
think
really good
that's
guide.
I think that's how I play.
Yeah, yeah, that's what ended up happening. Because I've tried playing adventure games in the past, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just clicking between screen to screen, and this is frustrating.
Yeah.
So this one I was just like, okay, if I get stuck, and if I'm stuck here for like a half hour and I can't find a way forward, I'll look at what the next step is I need to do, and then not the entire phase of that next step, but just like what that next item is, and I would do that, and then figure the way forward. And like one of them, I was just like, I would have never thought of that, and I'm glad. I'm glad because that was like needed to progress, and the game wasn't giving me any sort of hints of like, hey, you should do this instead. And so it was very interesting to see how it played out. But some of the that game needed a content warning, especially like, yeah, I can't really say anything. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Check it out if you want. It's short, but be prepared to be disappointed by that story. I don't think I've seen. I think the general consensus has been like, oh, this is fun. This is pretty cool. It's doing some interesting things. Oh no, why?
So last game you already mentioned Psychonauts 2.
Okay,
So you
so
only played a little bit of it, right? So far?
yeah, I played a half hour of this. So we were at the hospital. My wife is in labor, labor and delivery. It's gonna be a long night. Psychonauts, I think, dropped on the 24th, like at 8 p.m. or something.
Yes. Hmm.
I have access to the hospital Wi-Fi, which can't pull down. It can't stream. I couldn't even like watch Netflix without episodes buffering. It was that bad. Um, and so I had one bar of on LTE, and I was like, let me give this a shot, and it worked. Like it worked so well, and I was there.
It's funny when when sometimes it wants to work. I've had that happen too, where I've had like 1, 2 bars and I'm like, ugh, there's just no way it's gonna work, and then it works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And then I've had 5 bars and it's like, nah, I don't feel like it.
And it was I was like this looks great, it plays great, and then like at the half hour mark is when like it started crapping out, and I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And so I stopped. And then I was like,
Alright.
I'll play this once I get back home. I haven't gotten around to it, but
This is
presentation,
the
look
game.
at and feel
Yeah.
so much better. It's like it's what nostalgia. Like if I had played Psychonauts 16 years ago, this is probably how I would have remembered it. This is
Yeah.
everything I've
Gotcha.
wanted from a sequel,
Yeah.
and I'm glad we got it.
I love that.
The one thing that I found a little bit disappointing though was in the beginning they recap like what happened in Psychonauts 1, and I didn't realize Rhombus of Ruin was like so pivotal to the story because
Yeah.
and I was like, that's VR only, and I can't have a VR headset now. I have to wait
So
18 years.
I think I'm going to play that this weekend, Rhombus of Ruin,
Yeah.
and then jump straight into Psychonauts. This is Psychonauts 2 is definitely gonna be the game I talk about next week, because I fully intend on just binging that in two or three sessions.
I'm thinking of doing the same as well. Do you know how long Rhombus of Ruin is?
I think it's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah, you're right. 2 hours main story.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Oh man,
No.
I need a headset to borrow.
Hey, leave your wife and newborn and come hang out in Northern Virginia for a couple hours.
We actually have a wedding that we're not going to for my cousin down in Virginia. Actually, it's Race's wedding.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's his wedding. Even though he got married a few years back, they're probably doing the reception down in VA. So
Huh, so my invite just lost in the mail.
you can talk to him about that. I don't know. You should be like, you could have used my backyard. All you gotta do is lawn mow it.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, that wraps up what we've been playing. Let's go ahead and get right into the news. I'm going to try to get through some of these stories kind of quickly because I unfortunately am fading. I mentioned that my brother is in town and my brother works with a contractor, so he does contracting. And I've been taking advantage of that and having him help out with some projects around the house.
Mhm.
But because I also feel guilty that he's doing the work, I have been helping out with some of the projects as well, and I am exhausted and the caffeine's wearing off. So, complete candor to our audience. If you notice that my energy level started dropping, or if at some point I just say, "Hey, Bilal, take over from here," that
I
is why.
I was actually had like a list of rules for my wife for podcasting. Because last night I was like, hey, I'm gonna podcast tomorrow, and she's like, we're not talking about this right now. Don't confirm anything. And I was like, I already texted Rob, and like, and so like that's why I let her sleep 9 hours last night, and
Mhm.
didn't let the baby bug her. Yeah, but like I was actually going to say at the top of the podcast, there's a chance my wife might just barge in with a crying baby and I go on mute. And so if Rob fades and the baby's crying, there might be like an awkward gap during this
Yep.
podcast.
Hey, that's why you love us. We're the realest podcast out there.
Get,
Maybe
work,
not the
the,
biggest,
the Workprint's
maybe not the
dad's cast.
funniest. Yep. Yeah. 100%. That's what it is now.
Yeah, some of these
All right.
stories are going to be quick. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
First bit of story. This is out of Polygon. Assassin's Creed Odyssey patch adds 60 frames per second support on PS5 and Xbox Series S. That dropped on August 24th. Ubisoft announced Monday that on the 24th they will add support for improved frame rates when running the game on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series. Odyssey will play well at 60 frames per second on those platforms when playing the game through backward compatibility. Nothing more out of that story other than it's interesting to see them. It's interesting to see any company, honestly, release these kind of patches to bring it up to modern standards and exploit the power. I think it's even more interesting to see them do this with Odyssey when they already have Valhalla out there. And so
Yeah.
I think it just goes to show you kind of how popular the Assassin's Creed games have been, how popular Odyssey was. And because they wouldn't be doing this if they didn't still have a decent player base, and if they didn't think that by doing this they could get more people in, right? Maybe there are people who have the PS5 and have the Series X who played Valhalla because it was a launch title, and people are dipping their toes in Assassin's Creed for the first time, and now they can go back and play Odyssey and have the same 60 frames per second, which I'm sure looks beautiful because that game already looked fantastic.
Yeah, I know for me, when Odyssey came out, it was the first Assassin's Creed game I didn't buy on Xbox. I bought it on PC, and I
Hmm.
played through it there because I wanted that 60 frames per second. Like it made visually it makes a big enough difference. After
I
playing
mean
at
that
30 for years.
That game is absolutely gorgeous at
Hmm.
parts. So if you
Yeah.
haven't played it and you want to give it a shot, I highly, highly recommend. All right, next story. Again, we're going to stick with Polygon on this. Destiny 2's The Witch Queen expansion launches February 22nd.
I have already pre-ordered the collector's edition for Xbox and this base edition for PC.
Destiny 2's fourth major expansion, The Witch Queen, is coming on February 22nd, 2022.
So
Bungie announced the expansion's release date, as well as new features, story, and destinations at its Destiny Showcase event on Tuesday. And some of this news actually leaked like the night before, correct?
I think some of it's been out for some time, or like
Okay.
a couple days before, yeah. But it like Savathun is who they're finally introducing into the game. I mean, you remember the Taken King days? Like she was always mentioned in the background, and she's always been this like lingering force in the back. And it's really cool because she's bringing light to the hive. So you have like hive guardians that you'll be going up against. They're bringing in weapon crafting, and then with this new season of Destiny 2 for Beyond Light, they just introduced crossplay. So they're like the game's just getting really, really good. So I can finally play with friends on different consoles.
I do like that it's also adding a new energy weapon type, the glaive. The glaive
Hmm.
is a spear-like pole arm with a curved blade on the end, and it's the game's only first-person melee weapon. I
It's a
could
gunblade.
possibly be convinced to play this game and mess with the glaive, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I already told you. I think I have to check and see it. I'm not sure if I actually downloaded it or not, but I'd be willing to give it a try if you're gonna be my shepherd and lead me through it, because I am so lost in that game.
Yeah, I actually the game I'm trying to play this week is Destiny 2. I finished Dodgeball. I was thinking about doing Psychonauts, but I was like, I just want to get in because the story is getting good. Marasov, who's been gone since she's gone since the Taken King. Yeah, she disappeared when she drove her ship into Oryx's. She's been gone that long since Destiny 1 and has finally returned. So definitely
All right. Well, listen,
interesting stuff
you
going on.
find a you find a little bit of time. You're gonna play. Shoot me a message. I'll hop on. We'll get something in.
One cool thing they also done is with the season they introduced the timeline, which starts at Destiny 2 and not Destiny 1, which is really weird. But it like if you go to the timeline, you could read the big events that have happened since the launch of Destiny 2, so you can catch up on some lore in game as well.
Yeah, but will it tell me what I missed out on?
Yeah, everything you missed out on.
Yeah. All right. Will it tell me where I left off? Is really what I want to know, because I don't even remember where I left off. All right. Listen. Enough with Destiny 2.
Okay.
That old garbage. Let's talk about the new hotness coming. Marvel's Midnight Suns is the next game from the XCOM team. Turn-based RPG shares zero mechanics with XCOM and won't include permadeath. The next game from Firaxis XCOM team is set in an obscure corner of the Marvel Comics universe, titled Marvel's Midnight Suns. Is being led by, well, anyway, Jack Solomon, designer of XCOM, Enemy Unknown, XCOM 2.
It's actually card-based
revealed.
battling in like an
It was
XCOM like field.
Wednesday at Gamescom.
Yeah.
This was revealed not this, like a week ago.
A week ago, yeah. So they
so
actually
if we had
put
recorded
out
last Wednesday, we would talk
yeah,
about it.
but they just had another. I didn't add it to this news story, but they showed off some more actual gameplay, and it's like each character has like a card deck that they use to unleash moves. Oh god, it's a card based
Tactical
Marvel game,
RPG?
tactical RPG. So it's like that makes me really happy because I love a good tactical card based RPG.
Hey, listen, I'm excited because they have Robbie Reyes in here, one of the most underrated, doesn't get enough credit characters in the Marvel universe. His character design for a Ghost Rider is so amazing that I'm excited just for that fact alone. And also, I'm just a huge comic mark, you know?
Yeah.
Anytime there's like I mentioned earlier, I'm playing Marvel Revolution. You have a Marvel or a DC game, and it's in a genre that I enjoy, like I'm in there. Doesn't take much from me. But I'm excited to see more of this game and get my hands on it. Does it in March 2022? Hopefully that date sticks, right?
Yeah. Seems far off.
All
enough.
right. Next bit of news. Saints Row returns with a reboot in February 2022. Volition's open world crime series goes back to its roots on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. I haven't looked at any of the actual video of this and the announced trailer. I saw that there was a bunch of... There was discourse, we'll say, on the internet about this game, because some people are disappointed that it's not going to be as zany and wacky as the past 3 Saints Rows have been, right? That being Saints Row 3, Gat Out of Hell, and 4. That being said, I'm excited for anything Saints Row, honestly. As long as I'm fine with them taking a little bit more of a grounded approach, because where that series left off, it was so over the top. You were essentially superheroes in that game at the end of it.
Did it
There's just
end with time travel?
yeah, I believe it did. So it's one of those things where like you can't escalate at the rate they were escalating.
And maintain
At the
it.
rate they were escalating and maintain it, right?
Yeah.
They had already they had hit the cap. I don't know how
Yeah.
much farther you could go. So to kind of scale it back and bring it back. And the one thing I do hope is that it doesn't lose its identity, that it has an identity, right? Because we have so many open world games that the one thing that sets them apart oftentimes is that identity. Like for instance, I think Watchdog Legions is a half decent open world game, but that
Mm-hmm.
game doesn't have much of an identity.
Because you don't have
Like
a main
I know,
character.
yeah, and even the novelty of having these different characters, like it wears off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it is just a GTA clone, and so that's the one thing that I'm concerned about. I do like that the announced trailer. I saw some of the screenshots, stuff like that. That at least they are playing with color still, which
Mm-hmm.
is nice, and we're not just getting something drab and gray and brown.
I think they mentioned they wanted to ground it a bit more. I hope. It does seem like there's fun costumes and stuff like that. I think there's a this. I think it might be a smart move on their part to reboot it because I think Saints Row has this stigma around it as just this wacky dildo waving like open world game, and if they can
Yeah,
rebrand it in this reboot, they can eat this lunch that fans want because like the Saints Row games are fun. Like the open
yeah.
world combat, the side quests,
There's
they've established like they can do a really good one of those, and there's no new Grand Theft Auto for 4 more
Yeah,
years, I
and so
think.
right,
So
and so that's what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah,
there is a void there
hmm
of like criminal open world RPG. Watchdog Legion kind of fits that, although that's really anti-authority and
yeah,
anti-corruption than it is criminal. But there has to be levity, is all I'm
mhm,
saying. Like if there's no levity, then it's just not Saints Row, in my opinion. Even
yeah,
that first game was very much a GTA clone through and through. It's still you could see how it got to where it got to
yeah.
from that game. Next story, the Dead Space remake is revamping some of the series' most iconic mechanics.
This was pretty cool.
One of the things I saw about this is that they basically came out and said also that it's it's not a remaster, it's not a reboot, it is a remake. So they are still following the story of the first game, however, with some visual upgrades, some gameplay upgrades, and I'm sure there will be some changes to the different beats in the story. One of the things they also mention is that the whole premise of that first story is that you are searching for your wife on on the ship, and when you get there, that's when you discover that things have gone awry. The searching kind of stops after that, right? It then just
Yeah,
becomes like surviving. Yeah, you are still trying to get there, but that kind of gets placed on the back burner, and they want to bring that more to the front. Uh, but they are talking about that they do want to change kind of
the
the flow
weapons. Yeah.
and the strategy
Mhm.
behind uh, combat in this game, because the reality is that while yes, I did use every weapon, I used that plasma cutter until I was out of plasma cutter ammo. And most of my strategy in that game of using other weapons was like, all right, I got to save my plasma cutter ammo for later. And so that's one of the things they want to do is they want to
Yeah, I think they say in Polygon says in the story, now each weapon will affect different kinds of
right.
necromorphs in varying ways. Some will stagger, stun, or shred depending on what enemy type they're used on. And so it's like it seems like there might be like a rock paper scissor type effect to um, the combat now, which is nice because like if you can dismember with multiple weapons and against enemy types, that's a big plus. And then
They
I
al-
think they also said they're increasing the detail of the layers of flesh and bone flaying.
they also mentioned that one of the cool things they're doing as well is they are trying to, because of the fast SSDs in these new consoles, they are approaching this as one continuous shot, similar
Ooh,
to what we got in the
God of War.
newest God of War, correct? And so that has me very excited. Listen, I have mentioned this before. I am so excited for this game. They showed a little bit of very early footage. I mean, like so early that developers and publishers normally don't show this
Yeah,
level of footage. I mean, it was basically like a character model of a necromorph, character model of Isaac, and then nothing in the environment, just boxes.
Yeah, I
It
was
was
I
nuts.
was when they announced that they're showing something in the developer. I was like, they just announced this. What are they
Yeah,
doing?
yeah,
So I was
yeah,
like, so it made me happy because there's confidence if you're willing to show something this early.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so, and I say it all the time. This is what I want to see. I want to see more transparency and communication.
yeah.
I want to go on the journey with you when it's a game I'm excited for, as long as, we're not getting into spoiler territory. I don't want to see a ton of the game. I want to know a ton about the
Hmm.
game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they're also apparently changing up the zero gravity sections with better controls. I don't recall having issues with it, but it's been so long. Maybe maybe it's just like my
I
memory
don't
failing
remember.
me. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't. I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, there were zero G moments where you're kind of flying from like, essentially, you were flying from one room to another through these zero G sections,
yeah,
right? It was just like an obstacle in your way.
yeah.
But I don't
I
remember it being that frustrating. But
I remember
again,
it
that
being
was how many
cool.
years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for
But
this.
also, but also, I was in love with that game. So like,
Yeah, I
anything it did, I thought it was cool. I would forgive almost anything. Next bit of news. Surprise, surprise. Skyrim gets another new edition.
it,
So the anniversary edition arrives November 11th. Bethesda announced a new edition of the fantasy RPG, The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim, on Thursday during QuakeCon at Home 2021. The new anniversary edition will have some nice bonuses for characters. Will be available for players on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series consoles. The Anniversary Edition contains the full game, all enhancements from the Special Edition, and the Dawnguard, Hearthfire, and Dragonborn expansions. It also comes with a free next-gen console upgrade, over 500 Creation Club elements like quests, dungeons, bosses, and weapons. And last but not least, there's a fishing pole, and you can go fishing now in the game.
I mean, now I can finally play Skyrim. This is what I was
So,
waiting for. It was on
ha-
my bucket list. If they added, I was always saying, if they add fishing to Skyrim, I will play that game.
you joke, but I may actually play Skyrim now. I have never played Skyrim. My first game
Is
of
this
that style.
is this a stream? Is this a stream for us? Because like
Oh my god.
I
A
really haven't played
100-hour stream?
Skyrim. Yeah, so be it.
We should. All right, here's the deal. We play Skyrim,
Yes,
right? Whether it's you or or
I think
or
it's
me.
you. I want to
Okay.
commentate.
All right, but we both make decisions. You help me with the
Okay,
build, and then we go back and forth on making decisions.
okay, there we go.
All right, and there we go. We'll do this.
It's gonna
We'll
be
see.
hundred.
How,
It'll be like the decision
oh
is
my
on
god.
this stream we'll be fishing again.
Yep. Yep. Just 100 hours of fishing.
Yep, 100 hours of fishing.
All
Just
right.
max out your character.
Did we not? Did we talked about this, right? We
So,
we talked
so
about
we,
that Activision, right? But we
I
didn't
think it
talk about the
leaked.
size. Is that what it is?
I think the date and the size for Vanguard.
Mm.
I don't think it had a release date. I think it had the title had leaked or they had promised stream. I can't remember. Um,
Yeah, I don't remember. You're right.
yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so basically what I'm getting at is that Activision reveals Call of Duty Vanguard, and it is 270 gigs.
According
Now,
to Microsoft's listing, store page listing.
the important news is that the game releases on November 5th, and the multiplayer portion launches with 20 new maps, which is the largest set ever for a new Call of Duty game.
That's kind of that's a lot of maps.
That's a ton of maps. As long as they're good,
Yeah.
that's great. Apparently, though, they are reportedly smaller and tighter than usual to focus on a more compact and frenetic pace. That is my least favorite Call of Duty map. Is ones where it is just running around with SMGs and shotguns. I don't enjoy that style of Call of Duty. Other games have done that in the past. There was actually I'd say a span of like 5 or 6 releases where that was all the gameplay was, and it's funny because that's essentially where I fell off on it, and then came back when they went back to sort of the mid-range to long range to also like a more variety of engagements. And I know a lot of people were kind of poo-pooing on those maps and that playstyle because the next generation after me, this is how they played, right? That frenetic, let me run around with an SMG and hip fire and I'm gonna jump around corners every time I play, which
So you're saying you
that
don't want Shipment and
it,
Nuketown remade for the 20th time?
listen, no, hard pass. I mean, listen, I already said it, made my opinions known. I'm out on this game. I have no interest in doing Vanguard. The only thing that can get me in this is if it has a zombies mode that is actually good and not what they did to this game,
So
which is a crime.
they did a campaign, I think, gameplay reveal at Gamescom, and it looks good. Like everything I saw of it, I was like, I'm gonna get this on a sale and play through this campaign for $30.
Yeah, well, you find it on sale for $30, you let me know, and
Yeah.
then maybe I'll play the campaign. Actually, maybe I'm a loyal GameFly subscriber. I just remembered again, and so maybe this is something that I just GameFly, play the campaign. I don't want to do World War II again, man. I only want to do World War II if instead of Nazis we're fighting aliens and it's a Resistance remake and we have cool weapons. That's what I want.
I want you. Can I tell you my dream war game?
Sure.
It's more like a simulation, but it's some guy. Let's just say you play as the Punisher, and you just go back in time to various wars, and you have the future arsenal, and you get to just shape how history changes. You just choose a side of the battlefield.
That's just a slaughter simulator. If you have futuristic weapons, you're gonna
go back to
how far back do you go?
Go back to the American Revolution and just be like, nah, or like, how about when Christopher Columbus landed and you could just be like, the Native Americans had gats.
Oh my gosh. I'm in. Let's do it. Let's get a developer. Let's fund this ourselves.
We need a historian. Just figure out how it would all play out. Create this intricate web of possible endings.
It just breaks the timeline.
Yeah.
It's just some
It's
multiple Nexus events.
Yes. Okay. I was gonna say, did you watch? Did you watch?
I did.
Loki?
Okay. I did. I
Okay.
finished it. Yeah. All right. Next bit of news. We're in our little Microsoft block now. First story up: Xbox Game Pass gets Final Fantasy 13, Nuclear Throne, and more in September.
I've been wanting to play
announced-
Nuclear Throne.
They announced the list of games that you can expect in the next few weeks. I feel like we literally do this every podcast, right?
But
Is that
there's-
we have a new list of games coming, and the games are Craftopia coming to cloud, console, and PC September 2nd. Final Fantasy 13 coming to console and PC September 2nd. Signs of the Sword. How do you pronounce that word?
I don't know. I don't want to embarrass myself. So
Yeah, I didn't want to either. Signs of the Sword. Journer?
yeah, let's go with
Sojourner?
that. Sojourner.
It's funny 'cause it's not the first time I've seen that word,
Yeah.
but
It's gonna
just
be
saying
like
it out loud for the first time.
it's gonna be like Colonel. It's like that's how you. It's like that's just how you write Colonel.
That's coming to cloud, console, and PC September 2nd. Surgeon Simulator 2 coming to cloud, console, and PC September 2nd. Crown Trick coming to console and PC September 2nd. 7th. Sorry. September 7th. Breath Edge coming to cloud, console, and PC September 9th. Nuclear Throne coming to console and PC September 9th. And the Artful Escape coming to console and PC September 9th. The Artful Escape is the one that I am most excited about out of this list.
Yes, I was looking at the screenshot of that one, and I was like, "Oh, that's the guitar one." So I'm excited for that. And Nuclear Throne was something I've always wanted to play, but never got around to. So, very excited for that. And then I think they also released Quake 2 and Quake 3 Arena on Game Pass as well.
So we mentioned the Skyrim Anniversary Edition that got announced at QuakeCon. They also had announced and released Quake 2, and Quake 3 Arena onto consoles. And they're remasters, correct? They're like up-res ports?
I think the Quake, the original Quake, has some significant. It had some significant changes. Like I think it even has like ray tracing added in. It's,
Yep.
From everything I've heard, it's like it's everything Quake fans want.
All right, next bit of news. Speaking of Game Pass and cloud gaming, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Cloud Gaming comes to Xbox consoles this holiday.
This is
Microsoft
cool.
says Xbox One will be able to stream Xbox Series X games. I We've talked about this in the past. And we talk about so many things. So many things. I feel like I say that phrase all the time. I've talked about this in the past. We've talked about this in the past. This is very cool for people who still have older consoles, or even someone like me where I have, an Xbox One S still laying around here because I've now upgraded to the other consoles, and I traded in my One X, but my son's One S is still here. My daughter actually uses it. And so now that console has the potential to play some of the Series X versions of games that it other. More importantly for me is that now I'll be able to sit down at the console, stream a game on Game Pass, and try it out before taking up that coveted internal or expansion card, that coveted storage on my console. I think that is a quality of life feature that is going to change the way we approach Game Pass and the way we approach games as a whole. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing things like, we used to get demos with every Xbox Live Arcade game that was released, and it felt like almost every big release received a demo during the Xbox 360 generation. This opens the door for them doing essentially that, right? Giving you a timed cloud streaming demo of games if they wanted to take this a step further, right? Um, Even if they don't, just the ability of, like I said, Game Pass games, because for example, you play 12 minutes. Maybe I could have booted that up and tried it over the cloud on the console, and then decided whether or not I was going to download it and give it a go. Now, I could do that now with, my PC or my phone, but it's not the same. You know what I mean? And so I am very excited for this possibility. And I think I read that Phil Spencer himself actually said that that's how he's using it mostly, is by trying these games out before then downloading them.
I mean, I would love to play Microsoft Flight Simulator. I just don't want to download it because I know it's something I'm just going to delete in a few,
Yeah,
after like a few hours, and so it's just
yeah.
like, why download it and have it take up storage when I could just try it out? And I think this is cool. Like I said, when it works, when you have a strong enough connection, it doesn't even need to be that strong. A lot of the cloud stuff works really well.
Now, in our Microsoft block, we dive down more specifically to our Halo block. Halo Infinite finally has a launch date. It's December 8th, 2021. This date was slipped out according to a listing on the Microsoft Store. I believe they confirmed it later on, or at least we're kind of like,
Yeah, at
wink,
Gamescom.
wink. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have a release date. What we also know about Halo Infinite is that it won't launch with campaign co-op or forge mode. Now, me personally, forge mode, not the
Yeah.
end of the world, not the biggest deal. I think forge is very, very cool, but it's also one of those things that you can add later on, and it is still. I don't know if the player base is that large of people who are just interested in going into forge and messing around.
Mm.
But that is something that you can add later on, and then those people can, hop in then.
Check it out.
The campaign co-op does sting a little bit more
I think,
because
yeah.
after the first one, no, that's not true. From Halo 3 on, that's how I played all the campaigns. I believe. Did I play Halo 3 solo? Anyway, but in recent memory, that's how I've played all
Yeah.
the campaigns.
We played some of 5
I mean,
together
yeah,
online.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, playing with your friends is always much more fun, right? Like that's a no-brainer. That being said, am I, you know, losing my mind? Like I'm disappointed. I'm not angry about this
Mm.
news. And so I'm still super excited for it. I'm super excited for multiplayer. I'm gonna play through the campaign solo. What I'll probably do is I'll just play through the campaign on heroic, and then once it releases with campaign co-op, I'll play through it on legendary.
Yeah.
But that is kind of a bummer. That being said, if they had to do this because of quality reasons and them wanting to focus on getting the product out the door the best it could be with the campaign and the multiplayer, then you know,
I,
I trust them. If they think that it was what's
yeah.
best, I think this is a better move than delaying it again.
Yes, but I also think it's embarrassing because this game was supposed to come out last year,
Yeah,
and
sure. I mean, clearly they looked at it and said, this needs a
I,
serious facelift.
I
Maybe not a complete overhaul, but a
yeah,
serious facelift. It needs serious work to get it to the standards where we need it at.
like
And so,
yeah, like I think they have a very from everything I've heard and read about the alpha flight they did for the multiplayer. I think they have a very strong multiplayer component. I don't know what that campaign will end up looking like, but I usually enjoy a good Halo campaign. Even like I did 4 was kind of basic, but like still playing through it, I had a good time. Same with 5. Um, I just think they made such a big deal of bringing back local campaign co-op because that was taken out of 5,
yeah,
and
right.
then they said, like, it's on the agenda, we're gonna do it, and now they're coming out like, hey, there's no campaign co-op at launch. It's just like, what are you guys doing? It's like you guys had
Yeah.
an extra year. Like it's like, and in my mind, it's like the game was in a bad state. They needed to get into a better state. They looked at what was on the list of topics to finish. Yeah. I mean, like you look at the sprints, you look at the development sprints, and you'd be like, okay, we need to fix all this shit because this is core to the gameplay. If this doesn't
Yeah.
work or look good, then this game's gonna, that's it for Halo. Because this is probably the last shot we get at it. Well, probably not the last shot, but like we need this to be a success.
Uh, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, if this comes out and is a disaster, I think it might be the last shot,
yeah,
honestly. I don't
and,
think it's no. There was a time where Halo was too big to
yeah,
give up on, and I don't know if it's. For me, it is.
yeah. It's
But I don't know
like
if that's a general consensus.
yeah, it's like Master Chief Collection was supposed to be the saving grace for the Xbox One, and that came out and was a disaster because like the online
Which
just
is,
didn't work.
ugh,
And then
which
they
is such a
came back.
bummer because it's so good
It's
now.
yeah, and it's so good now. It's just like you need to make sure like, and I get it. Like if you can cut campaign co-op, you can cut Forge to ensure that the game that is available at release has a solid multiplayer, a solid campaign that people will receive very well. Then do it. Like they do that. But it's like it's also disappointing that this game has been in development for so long and that this gets cut at launch because I know so many people that like meeting up with their friends and playing locally that
Yeah.
campaign co-op. So yeah, it is a bit disappointing. I'm glad they came out and said it ahead of time because I know there was some disappointment in the ranks, but that game still continues to look good. I just hope we see less issues out of Halo like this.
Yeah.
Headed towards whatever their ongoing development cycle or life cycle for the multiplayer is.
On a brighter note, Xbox came into Gamescom and chose violence against my wallet.
How many
Because
controllers? How many controllers did you
hold on,
pre-order?
we're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna talk about that. I have restrained myself. I haven't done it. We're not even talk about the absolutely gorgeous Forza Horizon 5
5.
controller
Yeah.
that they announced. I mean, that thing is that's the one I might break on.
Did
That's
I
the one I'll probably break on.
did I tweet at you about that controller?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, you did. Yes, you did. So we're not even talking about that one. But they also went ahead and announced a Halo Infinite customized Xbox Series X, which thank God I already have one because I would be all over this. I think it is so clean and so
It's
nice
so
looking.
nice. I if I could trade in my Series X
Yep.
and get a guaranteed version of that, and I maybe pay like
Yep.
$100, I think I would.
100. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Tomorrow. Let's do it.
Yes.
Um.
That gold Xbox logo, it looks so nice, and there's
I mean, it is. Yeah, it
And
is
it has
so clear.
apparently has like a blue glow from up top
At the
as well.
top, yeah. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
like the same way that the current one has that green glow, even though it's
Yeah.
not really a glow. Um, I think that's what they're doing there as
And the
well.
gold
And they
accents.
also and they also announced a Master Chief styled Xbox Elite wireless controller Series 2. And this is like, now while I believe that the color scheme they went with on the customized Series X is much cleaner,
Hmm.
much classier, much, it could be recommended for anybody. Not even, you don't even have to be a Halo fan. You would love this thing. But as a Halo fan, as a fan of Master Chief, this thing, oh boy. If, oh man. I just don't, listen, my Series 2 controller works perfectly fine. I don't have $200 to be thrown around on a controller. I want this thing so bad. So bad. But I can't. I
I
won't do it. I'm not going to do it.
I I think the only thing that
Can't
stopped
do it.
me is that pre-orders were already all picked up, so I can't buy it. It's
All
so
right,
nice.
listen. Between you and me, I wasn't that restrained. I tried. And I couldn't get it. But I'm gonna restrain it if any more pop up. I've decided that's a sign. It's not meant to be. I'm not gonna get it.
I mean,
No,
I
it was more curiosity. I just wanted to see if I could,
get one
yeah,
and then hold it and to see
yeah,
if
just
it
leave it
was
in the
better than my
box.
other one.
Maybe, yeah. You never know. Like these things break, right? If my mind breaks,
Yeah,
and then I've already got one. It's not a
yeah.
big deal.
Like, yeah, just in
Uh,
case one of your controller breaks, you need a backup.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And that wraps up our Microsoft block of the news. Let's go ahead and get into our PlayStation block. PlayStation Plus offers Hitman 2 and Overcooked in September, plus a third game, Predator Hunting Grounds. Now, I'm not the biggest Hitman fan, and I have already played Overcooked, and I already own Predator Hunting Grounds. So this does nothing for me. That being said, I do think that Predator Hunting Ground is a pretty good asymmetrical multiplayer game, and it is nice that it's coming to PlayStation Plus. Hopefully, this builds a little bit of the player base. I'd be willing to go back in there and dabble with it. I didn't want to talk about it on the podcast because I haven't put enough time into it. But in a similar vein, although not asymmetrical, just multiplayer, I have played that new Aliens game that was released. What's the full title of that?
I was gonna say Hunting Grounds, something protocol.
Yeah.
Let's see,
Yeah, sure. Or
Alien, Fireteam Elite.
Fireteam Elite. I was gonna say, Colonial Marine Elite, but Fireteam Elite. And that, if you're a fan of Aliens, is very cool in how faithful it is to that franchise and
Was that
how
free
it
to
really
play?
feels like in that world. It is not. That is a actual purchase. I use GameFly to try it out, and we'll see if I hold on to it. That's also why I didn't want to talk about it yet, because I have only played about an hour of it, and it's the early levels, and so I am not leveled up. I don't have a lot of cool weapons or attachments and stuff yet. I was playing with a couple friends, and they looked much cooler than I did and had much better weapons and abilities. So we will see if I stick with that. So I want to give like a little bit more time before I pass any judgment on that.
I do want to just call out that the Overcooked All You Can Eat edition comes with Overcooked 1 and 2, a bunch of improvements, quality of life features, and cross platform multiplayer, 4K 60 for the PS5. So it is the definitive edition of Overcooked. So definitely grab that if you can.
I mean, yeah, if you haven't played Overcooked, that game is absolutely fantastic. I would be careful with who you play with because that could ruin friendships and marriages. That being said,
I'm not allowed to
very,
play with
very
my
good.
wife.
Also, very, very satisfying when you finish that game. All right, our last bit of news for the week: Horizon Forbidden West is launching in February 2022, arriving simultaneously on PS5 and PS4. The announcement was made during Gamescom opening night live.
I don't think it
What
hits
I'd
it.
call it?
I don't think it hits it February. I think it gets pushed back to
I mean,
April.
it has to. No, it has to.
No.
There's just no way.
Mm-mm.
At this point, at this
This
point,
this is
I believe it's going to hit February. But did I not
mm,
call this? Did I not say for the longest time that it
yeah.
just felt like this game wasn't no matter
There's
what
no
they
way.
were saying,
Yeah.
it just did not feel like this game was going to be ready
It's
this year.
okay. But like here's my thing. Every time Sony delays a first party game out of the holiday season, they always choose like February. And then you get to like January and they're like, "Hey, the game's like complete, but we want to make sure it's the best and we're going to push it 2 more months to April or May." Or you might, if it's Naughty Dog, you get to April and they're like, "Hey, we need like 3 more
Yeah.
weeks," and then you get it into
Yeah.
May. I think this launches in April. I don't think it launches in February.
I'm willing to wager that it launches in February.
Okay, if it launches in February, I'll buy you a copy of Horizon Forbidden West.
No. Oh, Horizon. No.
You're
I'm
like,
gonna play this game.
you're like, no,
I'm,
no, please, no.
I'm gonna play this game. I'm gonna play this game. You don't have to buy me a copy, but I'm gonna play this game. But I mean, listen, this isn't surprising to me. And again,
Yeah.
once again, if a game needs to be delayed, it needs to be delayed. I'd much rather a delayed game that has the potential to be good than a game launching early and being a mess. Because we talked about that with, Halo Master Chief Collection. That game is kind of forever stained because of its launch. And, when I say its launch, I mean the first 2 years that game was out because it took forever for them to get it fixed. But that game is a fantastic product now.
Yeah,
And
like,
so,
I look at even like Biomutant was something that I played and was okay with. That game got a lot of patches after it came out that fixed a lot of the issues, and it might not drastically change the game, but improved on a lot of the stuff that I had issues with. And I'm not going back to go check it out because I've had my time with that game, and the memory I have of it is what I have of it. It's like Final Fantasy 15. People that played it at launch versus people who played Royal Edition have different feelings on, how that game plays and different parts of it. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure it's ready out the gate.
yep.
I
Now,
also,
they
I also
did.
feel like it makes financial. I'm not a money guy, but I don't know how much it hurts a company to delay something by like 6 months or a year. But I just feel like if you give your team extra time for that polish, and the game is like a critical success, you're gonna get more money from sales.
So here's where, yes, sure. But also, no. If PlayStation 5s were readily available on store shelves, and it wasn't as hard as it is to get now, we would be coming into the holiday season with no new title to kind
Yeah.
of push the sales, right? Like, sure, there's already some titles out, some great titles, but those titles have been out for a year, and those aren't the titles that generate the kind of hype that you get from an upcoming release. It's why so often we see big releases happen the first week of November, because that Black Friday shopping weekend is coming up a couple weeks after. Now you have these titles so that, people are, hey, I want a PS5 and I want this title, This is perfectly fine. Them not having anything major in the fall is perfectly fine for Sony because they don't have any inventory to push anyway, right? They're not hurting. So they can afford to kind of do this. Where while Microsoft also doesn't have a ton of inventory, they are still playing catch up in the hearts and minds of gamers, right? They were the second fiddle last generation, and they have a play to make. So them kind of, Microsoft being able to kind of dominate the holiday season with having Halo and Forza Horizon 5 and not having anything out of Sony. I mean, I don't think Sony loves that idea, but it's also not going to hurt them immediately. So
Yeah. And
I think this is the right move.
yeah, I see what you mean there. I also gotta say like Microsoft is killing it with Game Pass because I think every game I talked about today that I played was on Game Pass. I haven't had to spend a penny. And
I mean,
I wonder if
listen,
Sony comes out with some. I know there's rumors that they're working on something, but I wonder what if it's just a clone
yeah,
of Game
but
Pass or like what's the benefit? coming out of
I don't know.
their
There's
solution.
so many rumors coming
Yeah.
out about that stuff, like an improved PlayStation Plus
Yeah.
that includes movie, TV, and maybe the anime. Now that they have Crunchyroll as well as um,
They best not ruin
'cause they have
Crunchyroll.
th-
I'll
they already
fight
have
them.
Funimation,
Yeah.
right? And so now they have Crunchyroll as well.
So you get all the subs and
I
dubs under one roof, which
Yeah.
if not bad.
I mean, you could say that, hey, we have this PlayStation Plus Pro,
Hmm.
right? And it still gets you the games that it gets you, still gets you the benefits that it gets you, but now also you get anime with it, right? Hey, I'm on board. Let's go.
I
But
already
that's not
have a
Game
Crunchyroll
Pass, right?
subscription.
Yeah, but now you won't need one.
Hmm.
If economically it makes sense,
Yeah,
that is, right?
that's true.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see them. I don't think they feel like they need to have a Game Pass because they are the leader when it comes to the two companies. So, I mean, when it happens, it happens. I would love for it to happen. I love Game Pass, and these days when people ask me for recommendations about consoles, I usually point them towards the Xbox because of Game Pass, right?
Yep.
Especially when it's somebody trying to get into gaming who is a lapsed gamer or a new gamer, because it does give them a low barrier to entry
Especially if they
in
have,
trying out
yeah,
these games.
and especially if they have like a sibling or a close friend that they can game share
Yep.
with. Oh,
Yep.
it makes that even a sweeter deal.
Yep. All right. Well, that wraps up all the news. Bilal, you want to tell people where they can follow and where they can normally find us?
Yeah, you guys can follow the Workprint over on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch at the Workprint, and then you can follow me at Bilal_me on Twitter and Night Mystic over on Twitch.
And you can find me at SunnyVice20, SUNNYVICE20, over on all social medias and over at Twitch. I actually think tomorrow I will be streaming a little bit on Twitch with my nephews again. We'll see.
Oh,
I think it
nice.
went good. It was a good time the first time we did it, so maybe we'll do it again. Depending on what game we play, I mean, it's probably going to be Fortnite. Maybe I'll even put it on the main Workprint channel to kind of make up for not having anything up there
Yeah,
recently.
I think you should do it. I can run some polls to see how hard you will carry.
Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to tell a friend. I still stand by. I believe that's the best way to support us is to spread the word.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Find you. Yeah. Subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel, Twitch, if you can. It all goes a long way into helping us out. And
yep,
I'm already mulling over some fun ideas for Child's Play. Is that what it's called? That doesn't seem
it
right.
is.
It's Child's Play. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
What's that?
it? Is it?
Is
It is
it?
called that. You've got me like second. It's definitely called that.
That's the movie.
That is the movie. Hold on.
Yeah, Child's Play. Okay.
Yeah, you're
Yes,
killing me, man.
that is Child's Play. Okay, I was getting really
You know,
worried
you know
out
what
for
it
a
is?
second.
It's because that TV show is coming out, and that's
Yep.
why Child's Play is like on the brain as something else. Anyway, yeah, we should definitely do something with that.
100%.
Once again, congratulations, Bilal. I
Thanks.
don't think you understand how hard I smiled and how happy I was for you when I got that picture. Tell
Uh,
Malia I send my best and congratulations.
Thanks, man.
And I think you guys are going to be fantastic parents.
That's awesome. Thank you. And you know what? I might have an extra wand for you. So next time you go to Universal, just give me a heads up. Like I'm not kidding. I have like 8 or 9 Harry Potter wands. So if
All
you
right.
want to borrow one, I
Yeah.
I got
Rent it
Voldemort's.
out.
I got Voldemort's, and I got shit
All
for
right.
it from the wand lady down in Universal. So just walk around like a villain if you want.
Oh, absolutely. I already do.
Yeah.
All right, man. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.